Part of the process of teaching myself to work was that I'd made up movies on the back of my eyelids long before I ever shot them. And that by the time I was in graduate school, I could run an entire movie in my head and see it shot for shot. Jan Kadar, I worked for 2 years while I was at the American Film Institute. He used to test me on it. He'd give me a Fellini movie, some really complicated movie, complicated European movie, and he'd say, go learn it. Now by that he didn't mean, tell him what the plot was. He meant, learn the movie. And he'd test me by having me sit me at a desk, give me a pile of paper and say, okay, write down the shots. Not some of the shots, not what were the memorable moments. No, every shot in the movie, shot for shot, in sequence, where it was, basically, was it a dolly or a close-up of the girl or whatever. If I had wanted to be a violinist or something, I would have, good musicians have hundreds of scores up in their head. They don't need to read the sheet music, they know it. They have. If you study at that level, you would need to know, music that intensely or that closely. Part of my training, they just, Jan tried to insist that I'd have to learn to deal with pictures that intensely, so that I'd live in a world of pictures, and how pictures are arrived at, what is the sequence of pictures, so that I didn't really need to write out storyboards of what's the movie look like. What you need storyboards for are to communicate with other people about a specific picture, particularly if you're doing a movie that has special effects. You have to storyboard those. You have to do a drawing. What's the shot supposed to look like? So, because you need to discuss at great length, and probably with lawyers and all sorts of nonsense, you have to work out a contract for how much will it cost to do this picture. So the more specific you are, the better it works. And that you storyboard for. Storyboarding to just, try to figure out what the movie's supposed to look like or something is, it's a little silly.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Jesse and I never talked politics. I had no clue that this guy would ever, go on to become such a national figure.
I don't want to get stereotyped and put into just one bracket of being this or that. In fact, I'm already signed, sealed, and delivered. I'm going back to L.A. and taking a few weeks. I'm going back to Minneapolis, my home, taking a few weeks off and get with my kids again, and then I'm going to L.A. and I'm doing a children's show, which my agent feels will be excellent for my career to show the versatility going from wrestling to combat to a kid's show.
I was really thrilled to learn that when he went into politics. Because we could tell he was a really bright guy. He was a lot more than just some former Green Beret or something.
So you ultimately want a real broad range of stuff?
I would like to. I think I'm that good. And I think I can play anything.
If I can remember correctly, no matter how much I would do, no matter how much Arnold would do, whether it was training, drinking, smoking stogies, Jesse Ventura would do more. If the people of Minnesota really knew about this stogie deal, we might have a few stogies sort of around, around the governor's mansion, hidden here and there. I really don't understand why that's not on the flag in Minnesota right now.
Being the wrestler that I am, I like my situation of coming into the movies at this point in time because it's going to stop me from becoming like Hulk Hogan. Now, granted, Hulk Hogan's a tremendous wrestling personality, but that's all he's ever going to be. He's Hulk Hogan for life now. I still feel Jesse Ventura can come out and be Sergeant Blaine. Jesse Ventura can come out and be an astronaut. Jesse Ventura can out and be this, be that, a cowboy, or anything like that. But, do you want to know what my ultimate goal is in Hollywood? I would love to do a film with Robert De Niro. I'm a big Robert De Niro fan, and I would really enjoy doing something with him sometime. So if he's out there listening, I'm available, De Niro.
Probably the most exciting thing about working in Palenque was the huge bullfrogs that ended up in my shower in my hotel room. Talk about an obstacle to overcome. And I knew that it was Arnold. And I stepped out of my room and I said, get the guys, come in here. I'm not standing for this practical joke. And they got a pillowcase and got all these bullfrogs, huge bullfrogs, out of my shower and put them into that pillowcase. And I got the key to Arnold's room. I don't remember how I finagled it, but somehow I got the key to his room and I had him take those bullfrogs, and Shane was going, don't do this, you don't want to do this. And I said, just you do what I'm doing. I'm not letting him get away with this. And Shane was going, please, Stan, don't do this. Just let's bring those bullfrogs. And we went into his room and his wife was visiting, Maria. I had him put those bullfrogs into the base of his bed, under those covers. And then the next morning, we got up, and I was driving to the set with Arnold, and neither one of us said a word about that evening. It was this silence. I wasn't going to talk about the frogs that were in my shower, and he wasn't going to talk about the frogs that were in his bed. You know, it's interesting. Years later, I was on a talk show and talking about The Predator, and then Arnold was going to be on the next night. And then I found something out, and this was years and years after The Predator. And I told the story about the frogs. And the next night Arnold was on. And he said, Stan, I didn't do it. And I found out 10 years later that Shane Mahan and my guys,
These are the finest monster makers in the world.
the guys who worked for me, had put the frogs into my shower. And I knew it was him, and when I went outside and I said, let's go, you're getting those frogs, we're going to Arnold's, they didn't tell me that it was them. My own guys had done it, and 10 years later I found out that Arnold was innocent, and the real culprits were the guys from Stan Winston's studio. So that's the toughest thing about working in the jungles of Palenque.
Things move a lot slower in Mexico. So we got a notice in our hotel room telling us that the water was not potable, that we shouldn't drink it. There had been some sort of a break or a leak or some problem with the pipe. But we got the note 7 days after it happened.
The filtration system in the hotel broke down. They didn't tell us. I took a shower, washed my face and everything. And that night, I was under 4 coats, shivering. I was so sick, I couldn't walk.
So I'm looking at water with little bits of like sticks in it and stuff. Thinking, it's a hotel, they say the water's fine. And then I get the notice that I've been drinking this horrible water, but maybe it was mind over matter. Meanwhile, Carl's sick.
God blessed me on this one, but I did not have one day of getting sick from any kind of bug.
Arnold got horribly sick with cramps and dehydration one day. It was like really had to be hospitalized almost. And a tribute to him is that 2 days later he's back on the set.
What's got Billy so spooked?
Can't say, Major. Been acting squirrely all morning.
The funniest, to me, thing about the movie is just the knowledge while I'm watching it. There's 2 people like standing, looking at each other very seriously. One says, you know, look over there on your 9. I think something's gonna happen. I think we're all, you know, get your weapons ready, men. And then cut, and they run to the bathroom and just shit their guts out. And so these people are standing very stoic. Like I remember Sonny Landham saying, "Major, I see something in those trees." And he was just holding on to it barely. And you could, and if you knew, you know, you could see that he's like, cut the film, and out to the bathroom. And it's all just about, you got to make it to those bathrooms.
Don't drink the water, man.